everyone. I'm Hamza. I'm a PhD candidate in UCD Ireland. The other two authors are well known and don't really need an introduction. My study is funded by Build Digital project in Ireland. So skipping the table of contents, let's start with the problem statement. With increased usage of BIM, GIS, IoT, and wireless sensor technologies, we produce a lot of data, and so the construction industry has entered the era of big data, and they are perceived to bring several benefits such as automated decision making, cost saving, enhanced productivity, and etc. But as highlighted many times throughout this conference, much of the data goes unused in the industry, and the reason for that is a lot of that data is in unstructured formats, meaning that machine cannot interpret it. And out of those unstructured data, about 80% is in textual format. So we see that researchers, they are aware of the value contained within the unstructured data, and that's why we see a lot of publications where researchers use various techniques such as NLP, text mining, machine learning, linked data, and knowledge graph to convert unstructured data into structured data. However, we realize that very few studies focus on the root causes of why unstructured data persists in the first place. What might be the organizational and institutional factors involved in its generation? If we can identify such factors, then before applying the techniques of conversion, we can actually reduce unstructured data in the first place. So this is the aim of the study, to investigate the organizational and institutional factors involving unstructured data generation in AEC. And this was done by a qualitative study involving thematic analysis and semi-structured interviews. So the overall methodology constituted 4 steps in total. So this study was constrained to AEC companies in Ireland, and the expert criteria was that they should have 5 years plus experience, and they should have experience both in traditional as well as digital construction. We sourced the participant through snowball sampling, which is also known as through referrals. And during data collection, firstly we developed the interview protocol, which involved making one-pager information sheet to give to the participants, developing a consent form which has GDPR, and then after we received the signed consent, we conducted the interview. The interviews were conducted online, and the audio and textual transcripts were saved. And then we analyzed the data and performed the thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is very well known in psychology, where we go through the data and we try to understand the data, then we generate the initial codes, and then finally we bring codes together and develop some themes. And finally I wrote up the results. And so we interviewed 6 participants in total, and they belong to architects, to consultants and contractors, belonging to both large and SMEs. And we also interviewed a micro firm, and their roles were diverse: director, mechanical lead, data manager, senior architect, BIM coordinator, and BIM manager. So our results are split into 2 categories. The first one is organizational issues, and one of the major themes identified was there's a confusion in the understanding of unstructured data, structured data, and structured data sharing processes. This finding was sort of unexpected, because when we started this study, we assumed that the participants, they know what structured data is. And when we shared the information sheet with the participants, and during the beginning of the interview, when we again gave an introduction, they expressed they knew what structured data is, but reality was not the case. As we proceeded with the interviews, we realized that some participants, in the middle of the interview, they express, oh, what do you mean by unstructured data? What do you mean by structured data? And And interestingly, P5, initially he gave the correct definition, academic definition of structured data, but during the interview he said, look, if I have a PDF file with hundreds of pages, and I share that PDF with appropriate file naming system that makes the data structured, whereas in reality it only makes it semi-structured. The text within that is still unstructured. So due to this confusion, unstructured data persists. And surprise, surprise, after a decade of BIM, Revit is BIM. So I don't need to explain this one further. And structured data cannot be delivered unless there are skills and knowledge to deliver that structured information in the first place. As P2 mentioned, it's a knowledge gap and expertise gap as opposed to any technical reason. And P6 narrated an interesting story. Like Conan mentioned, there are some companies in Ireland who are still using floppy disk. P6 in 2024, P6 belongs to a large contractor. They reached a subcontractor for MEP fabrication drawings, and they asked him, how do you generate your fabrication drawings? To his surprise, they replied to him, look, we will take your drawings, we will print them, we will put them on a drawing board, we will take our T-square, and then we will sketch the fabrication drawings. So they are not using even AutoCAD in 2024. And P6 said he was shocked, he couldn't speak for the entire day. And second category is like unstructured data persists because it has its uses throughout the project stages. During design development, we have presentation materials which are used to convey ideas, align stakeholders, secure approvals, and during tender stage, specification involves information management plans. They are used to secure approvals and obviously for contractual engagements and statutory approvals. Now, on one hand, Irish government is mandating BIM and also including the IFC requirements for public projects. But on the other hand, the BCAR, Building Control Amendments Regulation in Ireland, it necessitates people to generate fire certs, ancillary certs in PDF format. And it's all done manually and based on the experience of the officer on site. So he will go on the site, and if he feels like 50% is done, he will write in that PDF document that 50% is done. And lastly, in project execution, meeting minutes, site visiting records are used for record keeping and day-to-day collaboration. So unless there are structured means to replace all of these benefits or use cases, then unstructured data will continue to persist in the industry. So to conclude, unstructured data persists across all project stages, evolving in form and purpose, and they persist more due to systematic issues rather than the technical barriers. So we have identified two major challenges. The first one is lack of education and training, which leads to poor understanding of structured data, unstructured data, and structured data sharing processes, as well as misconceptions about BIM, and a lack of expertise in delivering structured information. So this calls for sector-wide education, and we recommend the universities within Ireland to include a module related to fundamentals of data science in AEC curriculum. And since we are working in Build It a project, policy changes are essential to enable the machine-readable data practices. And for the BCAR process, digital permitting could be explored as a viable solution. But our study was not short of limitations. Firstly, the sample size is too small, it's only 6. So the future study could expand the sample size and also couple that with the quantitative findings. Since the submission of this paper, we have actually carried out this particular future work, and we interviewed a bunch of more companies, and we found some more interesting insights, such as the trust within the informal deliverables and how quick informal communication works, and the loss of metadata due to folder-based CDEs, and due to contractor requirements, and due to some stakeholder dynamics. We are going to publish that in a journal. And also we are in that journal paper, we are going to upload all of the audio transcripts and all of the textual transcripts, so anyone can go through them and reproduce the findings. Secondly, we didn't interview any clients, so the future studies could interview and capture the client's perspective. And lastly, although we identified the issues, solving those issues was outside the scope of that study, and so the future work could research about solutions for the identified problems. And we are now currently working with the transportation infrastructure islands asset information requirements to actually produce a case study and propose a solution based on the issues which are identified in the study. Thank you.
Thank you very much.